today's evening, Douglas Alexander to you. Thank you. Long live Lions. So they are all your.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And namaste.
Namaste.
I'm honored to be here this evening with you. These last 2 days, and I'll say multiple 317, since we have 3 different districts here, has really been rewarding to me as a Lion first, and certainly as the chairperson of our foundation. To see the wonderful work that you're doing here in your community makes me proud to be a Lion. I hope you are proud to be Lions. Yes. I want you to give yourselves a hand at this point. In the school. And you know, I've heard prior to my coming to India that young ladies often don't get to go to school because of the situation around that. Now, my club, I guess it was maybe 2 years ago, we've only had women in my club for about 5 years. It was about 2 years ago when one of our Lady Lions wanted to support I think it was in Rwanda, when she wanted to send a package of, well, we said sanitary napkins, and they quickly corrected us and said feminine products. So we're learning as we go through the process. And so when I saw the machines, it brought that back to my memory. Not only here, but people from around the world seeing that need, feeling that need. You know, we have a saying, where there's a need, there's a lion. And we find out the needs of our communities. And I say to people, our communities, it's not just our local community. Our community is the world, being in more than 200 countries and geographical areas around the world. And there's so much opportunity for Lions. We did that, then they showed us a library that they're starting. And then there was a small medical center, room where they can take care of minor injuries that they're at the school. Beautiful project. Then to go to an eye hospital and see the work that's being done there. Also got to visit a blood bank today, which was also very rewarding. I'm familiar with blood banks. I've seen a few. I think shortly after I became first vice president, I did get to come to India, and I got to see several blood banks there. But we have a blood bank in New York. And as was mentioned in my bio, I'm in a transporter for our eye bank. And that was really the first time I got a call to go pick up a eye tissue and deliver it to a hospital, knowing that someone by the end of the day would have their vision back. How that affected me. And to play a small part in that, just by transporting the tissue. But that's the type of things that Lions do every day. And you're doing it so well here. And our foundation, supporting you in these projects, is what it's all about. It's why our foundation exists. I was so pleased to see that on a lot of the equipment that had been donated or supported by our foundation, that you were recognizing our foundation by labeling them. Thank you for doing that. Yes. That lets people know that their donations is being used wisely, making a difference in people's lives. I don't know anywhere in the world that does it better than you here in India. The things that you're doing is just amazing. You should all be very proud. Now, earlier today, I even had the opportunity to induct 2 new members into our great association, 2 sisters. And that's special because, you know, that's where the rubber meets the road. I tell people all the time, without members, we have no organization. And we've been stuck at 1.4 million members, much too long. I served as a district governor in 94, 95, and we were saying 1.4 million members. And here we are, almost in 2023, saying 1.4 million members. And you would ask the question, have we not had any growth over that time? Well, you just saw numbers that were put up on the wall by the 3 governors here, and all of them show positive growth. So why are we still stuck at that 1.4 million members? Well, I have to say, and I'm from North America, Constitutional Area 1, Constitutional Area 1 and 2, which is the USA and Canada, both part of North America. We have seen a steady decline in membership over the last 30, 40 years. And we've tried so many different programs. You see a bump and then it just disappears. Well, you've heard about what we started with NAMI, the North American Membership Initiative, which is a process, not a program. And out of those pilot branches we had, districts we had, there were 9, all showed positive growth, which tells us that if we follow the process, it works. So now we've moved on from the North American Membership Initiative to the GMA, which is not Good Morning America. It's the Global Membership Approach. And it's being spread all over all 8 constitutional areas. So we're hoping to see positive growth, not only in constitutional areas 1 and 2, but all 8 of our constitutional areas. But I say no one does it better than Constitutional Area 6, Asami. Give yourself a hand. You've overtaken the US in membership numbers. How many directors do we have now on our board from Asami? 6. Okay. Part of that is because of your growth. And I've been preaching in the US for years. If we don't do something about this membership, I remember when we used to have 17 directors from the US. We now have 11, okay? And that will keep changing if the membership continues to grow outside of the US. But more importantly, just think of the world population, which now I understand is somewhere around 8 billion people. And we're at 1.4 million members. We haven't even scratched the surface of what we should be seeing in our membership. Less than 1,000 of 1% at 1.4 million when there's 8 billion people. I saw so many cars on the road here in India in these last 2 days. I tell you, and I know your population is it 1.3 billion? That's a lot of people. So there's a lot of opportunities for growth right here in India, and you're doing it, and I congratulate you on that. Please continue to help our association grow. I'd love to see the day when we could say we're 2 million. If you remember last year, one of my goals was each one bring one. Just imagine if each lion found one person that they could bring into this great association. That 1.4 becomes 2.8. And you know what I also say? Happy members don't leave. We need to make sure that our members are having a good experience as Lions. We lose more members for leaving our organization as we do from death. We can't control the death, but we can control our members just leaving because they're not being fulfilled. And one of those things that I also mentioned last year was leadership development. Are we giving our Lions an opportunity to serve? Not only to serve the public, but to serve the association, to grow and serve in positions so that they can become zone and region chairs, vice governors, district governors, maybe even international director or an international president. That's part of member development. Happy members don't leave. So continue to do what you're doing. Communication, 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 so important. Anyone care to guess what percentage of our members know about our foundation? Even after going through a campaign of Campaign 100 for the last 4 years, that number is very low. So we have some work that we can do there. We raised $325 million from Campaign 100. Give yourself a hand for that as well. Now, my concern last year as president was that being that the campaign was ending, and as was mentioned, I've been aligned since 1984. Every campaign we've had, we've always met or exceeded the goal. I did not want this to be the first campaign that we did not make our goal while I was president. We did that, thank you. Then my concern became, okay, the campaign is over. We don't want people to say, well, we don't have to give anymore. Disasters around the world, if you listen to the news, you can see they are continuing to happen more frequently and even more severely. We have to continue to support our foundation so that when we say when there's a need, there's a lion, our foundation will be there to support us for those projects that we can't do in our club or our district. And you are a perfect example of it. I also had the opportunity to inaugurate a new eye hospital that is going to be coming up from the Bangalore West Lions Club, who also celebrated their golden anniversary, which we celebrated with them, yes. Club started with 68 members, it's now 140 members. They still have 4 charter members in that club, 3 district governors that came out of that club. That's Lionism at its best. Our association now going into the 2nd century of service, we want to make sure that we continue to grow and bring more people into the family. And I have to mention that competition, well, they're not even competition, but that other organization, Rotary, who I've heard mentioned here and even met a few Rotarians while I've been here. Had nothing against them, but I love Lions. You know how much they raise every year? $300 million. And it took us 4 years to raise $300 million. We got some work to do. Now, I hope everybody here knows what our goal is for this year. $50 million. Can we do it? Yes. Will we do it?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I can tell you we get a weekly report every Friday. The report comes out. There'll be a report out tomorrow telling us where we are. We're well on our way to achieve that goal. But we can't stop. We don't only want to make that goal, we want to exceed that goal. And that only can happen if we can continue to support our foundation. Your past international director, Krishna Reddy, who I served both years with on the board, who's now a CSR ambassador for South India, okay? Thank you. Thank you for stepping forward. We see a great opportunity there. All these large corporations who work, sell things in our communities, what portion of that are they giving back to the community? There's a great opportunity. And the one that comes to my mind is Amazon. They're everywhere. I know they got plenty of money. They can give some to Lions so that we can distribute it and make sure that we continue to provide that much needed service. And never forget when you're soliciting to tell people that 100% of your donation goes to the cause. There's no administrative piece that comes out of your donation. If you donate $100 to disaster relief, $100 go to disaster relief. And we often tell people when you're looking at organizations to donate to, you can go online and find out what percentage of your donation goes to the cause. Some, it's 60, 70%. That other fund is paying somebody's salary. So we have to continue to be able to say, I had the opportunity to visit Rotary a couple of months ago. They invited us there. And one thing that stood out to me, it said 92% of your donation goes to the cause, which means 8% is being used for something other. So that's one up we have on Rotary. But we can take some lessons from them and vice versa. We have decided to jointly meet with them at least once a year to see what projects that we can do together in our communities. The world is big enough for all the service organizations out there, but our primary one is Lions Clubs International. And notice I say Lions International, I did not say Lions Clubs International. If you're not aware, part of our strategic plan is we're aligning our foundation and our association closer together. So going forward, we're going to be known as Lions International. We still have the foundation, we still have the international association, but we will now have at least one joint board meeting each year. And to the world, we'll be known as Lions International, which is bringing us closer together. We have something called Salesforce out there that we're converting our IT to, which is supposed to make things a lot easier for you to use, because we still hear a lot of people talking about It's difficult navigating the system, trying to find information on My Lion, My LCI, and Insight. So this new program that we're going into, which is quite expensive, but it was an investment that we felt that was necessary for us to be able to continue to operate. And after living through these last 2.5 years with the pandemic, it really showed us how important technology is. I often tell people I'm zoomed out. I've been on so many Zoom meetings, and people felt that since you could do Zoom meeting, it was easy to invite you to everything that they were doing. 6 or 7 Zoom meetings in a day is quite a bit. I tell people I've been in Africa in the morning, Australia in the afternoon, and India in the evening, all without leaving my house. Yes, but it can get quite tiring. And I think we learned from that. One, any meeting that goes more than 2 hours is too much, even on Zoom. But we also learned how important meeting like this is, that social aspect of our life, where I can see my good friend Gowrie and give her a hug. I can't do that on Zoom. Even though sometimes we'll share a beverage on Zoom, it's not the same. It's not the same. But you know, we could have took the attitude because of the pandemic why we couldn't do things. But Lions are creative, we're resilient, we found new ways to serve and to stay connected. We thought we were gonna lose about 100,000 members because clubs were not meeting, and you know, when people are not meeting, they lose interest. But we stepped up to the challenge. We served and we served safely. So now, I think we have a new audience that we should reach out to and ask them, don't they want to become a part of us? All of those first responders who we fed. In the state of New York, we received a grant from the foundation for $200,000, which was split among the 11 districts in the state. We did a lot of feeding first responders. That was the biggest part of it. Then we helped with the purchasing the PPE, the personal protective equipment. Then 2 districts did something a little different. As our President Brian Sheehan says, let's think outside the box. One served ice cream instead of food. It went over bigger than the food, because we often know people get too much food. Another one found a machine that cleaned ambulances. And you didn't think of it, but if they transport a COVID patient before it could be used again, that ambulance has to be cleaned. They found them, and it was taking several hours to clean the ambulance. They found a machine that could do that in 45 minutes or less. And with their portion of that grant, they were able to purchase 6 of those machines and distribute them to their local ambulance and fire departments. That's Lions making a difference. And as chairperson of the foundation, I get to travel around the world and see the wonderful work that Lions are doing, like you're doing right here in India. And to say thank you for your service, because without you, there is no Lions. And we have to always remember, the grassroots Lions is what our association is all about. Yes, we have leadership, but without you, there's no leaders. So I thank you for what you do. And as the gentleman who was reading my bio, and you talked about that me delivering that Thanksgiving basket, thank you. I often ask people, when did you become a Lion? When did you have that aha moment, as we say? Well, that was mine. I had joined several months earlier, but when I delivered that basket to that family, and that mother looked at me and said, thank you so much, it just touched me in a way. And all we had done was given a meal to a needy family. I walked down those steps feeling so proud, and I still get chills when I tell this story. That was the day that I became a Lion, knowing that we were doing something good. And I have to tell you, last week was, or I guess it was a week before, was Thanksgiving in the US of A. The first time that I was not home on Thanksgiving, because it was the wholesale forum and I had to be in Korea. And I missed my opportunity to deliver a Thanksgiving basket, because I still do that, because I just think it's just that important. But duty calls. When I accepted this job, I said I will give it my all, and I am trying to do that. But I will be at home for Christmas with my family. You have to have that time for family. So I want to close by saying thank you for allowing me to be here this well, I'm actually gonna be here until the 19th, because I have a few more stops before going to the Islamic Forum. I think I get to go home on the 20th. And I left home on the 4th, so, and there's a 10.5-hour time difference. You're 10.5 hours ahead of New York. So I have to remember the timing to call my children every now and then to check in with them. But it's all good. And I have such wonderful things to share with them when I call them. And I send them the pictures. They think I'm a rock star. I'm just Lion Doug doing service in our world community. Thank you for all you do. Please continue to serve and serve safely. Serve with kindness because it truly matters. Make sure we continue to give our service from the heart, because together we can and together we will. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I request you to stay back, sir. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful talk, sir. We will definitely continue our good service and we will focus our membership. We assure you from 317. Thank you so much. It's time for felicitation of our recent MJF and PMJFs from 3 districts. I request all 317A MJF